All right, everyone. I wanted to get this out real quick and my thoughts on the LLM intent classification and some of the testing that I've done on my end, as well as give you guys a little tip slash trick that might help you out in some of your builds. So I'm going to do this using the VB Patios demo that we put on earlier. I don't know if any of you guys remember. I'll link the description video to this so you can see how we built this out for any of you that are interested in. But remember, when we built out this demo for VB Patios, when we hit the first fork here, there's 3 suggestive routes that we put up through buttons. And let's say that the client didn't really want to use any buttons and they wanted it more conversational, which is actually a fairly common request that I'm getting from clients. So what if we want to do the same thing, but have the conversation pick up these 3 intent routes and then do the various things, which is get started with your outdoor project, information on financing, and then some before and after photos from this carousel here. So we're going to go through here and we're going to delete these buttons and replace them with an intent choice. And in order to build out these intents, we're going to use our good friends Claude and GPT. And I'm using 2 different ones just because it's easier to toggle between the 2 of them in these windows. But you can do all of this in Claude or all of this in GPT. So if you are only paying for one of these, don't worry. But anyways, let's go and build out these intents. Okay, so I have 3 intents that I know I want to build out here, which is start outdoor project, financing information, before and after photos. So if we come into the content tab, Voiceflow always puts no and yes intents natively into your backend. Okay. So in order to create a new intent, you're going to click this button, intent name and description. Well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get this? And this is where we enlist GPT first for help. And this is what I'm going to do. I want GPT to brainstorm with me what utterances users might say in order to reach these intents. And I'm going to ask them for all 3 groups at the same time because I want the LLM to have context of the other intents that I plan on building. That way it can help formulate some of these utterances and make them potentially unique. So this is how we're going to do this. I want you to make 3 groups of utterances a user might make when asking questions about the following 3 topics. Provide 10 utterances per group. And I'm going to list them. I want to hire for a company to start. Let's do build. Outdoor project. I want information on financing. And I want to see examples of before and after photos. Boom. So now GPT is going to build out 10 utterances per group here, which I'm then going to feed into Claude here in a second. Can you help me design and build an outdoor kitchen? I'm interested in hiring a company to install a pool. Like these are all relevant questions that make sense for this intent. And for the first phase of this thing, this is really just to get the initial trigger that we want to build. So these don't have to be perfect, but feel free to go in here and for your own intents that you were building out, modifying this list of 10 to get it really dialed in. But for the purposes of this video and what we're doing, boom. Okay. What am I going to do with each of these 10 now? Now, if we go and look at the Voiceflow announcement here in their docs, they provided a template right here to help generating intent descriptions. So I'm going to copy this and put this into Claude. And let's make this more readable for the users here by adding some line breaks here. Intent name, these are utterances, utterance here, utterance there, utterance there, intent description. Okay, So remember, the first intent is start outdoor project. And the user utterances, this is where I'm going to paste the first 10 into here. Here we go. And then intent description. What did I use last time? This is a good one. Call to action to begin working with VB Patios to install your backyard or outdoor project. Perfect. And then it's going to say, trigger this intent when. Trigger this intent when the user expresses interest in starting an outdoor construction, renovation, or landscaping project and wants to engage in the company's services to plan and execute the project. This could include building outdoor kitchens, yada, yada, yada. Perfect. So I'm going to copy this entire thing, come back into our create intent, start outdoor project. I'm going to paste this into the description. And then for the utterances here, this is really more for the NLU side, but it can't hurt. Remember, we have those 10 utterances that GPT gave us, so let's bulk import them. Copy this, paste it in. Boom. Create intent. So now I have start outdoor project built out here. I have the description, trigger this intent when, it makes sense. And I have a list of 10 utterances. And we're going to do the same exact thing for the other 2 intents. So now, going to copy and paste what was in Claude before. We're going to change the name, financing information. I'm going to change the utterances to these 10. Copy, paste. I love that Claude makes this a numbered list for formatting that I can just copy and paste over this. Great job, Claude. This is, what did I do here? Someone has requested information on financing or would like to begin application. Now, if you don't put anything in this intent description, don't worry. The LLMs do a pretty good job of picking up the slack here, but it does help shape some of these answers sometimes. Trigger this intent when the user asks about financing options, payment plans, or financing processes for their outdoor projects, such as pool installations, blah, blah, blah. This could include inquiries about interest-free options, financing terms, bank partnerships, down payment requirements, or how to apply for financing through the company. It's beautiful. Copy. New intent in the description, paste, financing information. Now we're going to bulk import from GPT. Create intent. There we go. That's 2. One more to go. Copy this. Come on. Change out for our 3rd one. Make sure I change the intent name, which is before and after photos, previous work examples. Someone has requested information on, let's just say, past projects. Trigger this intent when the user asks to see examples, photos, or portfolios of the company's previous work before and after transformation. This is perfect. Before and after photos, previous work, and our utterances. Create intent. Okay, so now we've built out 3 intents, and we have no and yes that are still in here. Come back to the designer. This is a button step, okay? We want to now delete this. We're going to replace this with a choice step. Now, we choose the 3 paths that we want here is now our intents that are filled out. Start outdoor project, add choice. Path 2, financing information, add choice. Path 3, before and after photos. Now here's an important one. No match here. we need to add the path for no match, because remember, if somebody just asked a question and didn't click a button, we hit the knowledge base. So I want to make sure that this still happens here. And you do this by adding this path, which will allow this circle to come onto the designer board. And then you drag it to whatever block you want to go, which is, hey, straight to our knowledge base that we built up previously in the last video. And now for these, you're just going to hook up the routes the way we did it before. Before and after photos go to the project carousel, financing information goes to financing start, and then start outdoor project. Get started with our project here. So let's test this, okay? When you click this start here, it's going to go here. You'll notice that I have a red button that's kind of a warning here, which is your assistant needs training. And that's because we added 3 new intents here. So we need to click this and click train assistant and let this go through. This may take a few minutes. Yeah. Okay, trained, untrained. Now, I don't want to start typing in here because this is kind of a snapshotted assistant from before training. So if I type in here, it's going to give me an error like, let's get started with outdoor project. It came up, that's a weird one there. So let's back out of that. That didn't work the way that we wanted to, and that's because it wasn't trained. All right, now let's do it again. Let's get started with outdoor project. Is that NLU coming through? It's trained. I'll just see financing information. Why am I not seeing anything on the designer? Oh, I forgot a very important piece here. So we come back to content here. I have NLU still clicked here. So I actually need to change this to large language model here. I'm going to drop to 3.5 just for testing here. Save this. Come on back. Let's start an outdoor project. There we go. Okay, perfect. So you'll see that when we uttered the phrase, let's start an outdoor project, I have 2 things that pop up in this testing window. And the first one is the NLU, which was what it was doing before. Before and after photos, previous work was 55% here. So if we would have just have this on NLU, it would have routed me not to get start project. It would have routed me to this carousel, which is exactly what you guys saw when I didn't click over to the LLM intent classification. But if we look at under it, LLM, the intent start outdoor project got picked up. So as you can see by this response, let's start an outdoor project. This is somebody on the other side that is ready to take an action. So I want to route them to the get started thing, which I'm going to take on information and go. So this is exactly what I want to see, which is the LLM basically overriding what happens from the NLU and giving me a more appropriate response here. All right, let's say, let's just type in previous work here and see what happens, which is not a whole lot of words, right? Previous work. If we go to the NLU side, an 86% none. But the LLM picks this as before and after photos. So it was able to build out the correct intent just from 2 words, which was previous work. Here's some previous work examples. We have a carousel that's exactly right up your alley. And that's because if we look at the description for before and after, trigger this intent. I just clicked that button. I didn't mean to. Trigger this intent when the user asks to see examples, photos, or previous photos of the company work. I need to delete some of these. That's all right. It should be all right. So this is awesome. This is great. But here's a few things that I want to point out. All right. Let's go to let's start. which is great. It's great that it picks this up. Okay. Notice this token amount for LLM. Okay. So I hit this choice step and I had multiple intents and it's charging me tokens in order to listen in on that piece of the conversation and route to the next intent. Watch what happens with this next capture step. I just have a capture step. I'm asking, what is your name? So I'm anticipating a name. Look what happens. Okay. We have the intents listening again. None 100%. LLM. And here's the point to really pay attention. Tokens 277. Now, I recently contacted Voiceflow team to make them aware of this. But if you think about it before, when we had NLU intents just passively listening all the time, it really wasn't that big of a deal because it would just say, yeah, none percent and keep moving on with the conversation. But now we're being charged tokens for every capture step in this flow, which, as you can imagine, if you kind of have a path that's like a form here where you're asking for specific pieces of information, that token piece can add up very, very quickly. Now, think about why they needed to do this. There are two instances where I want an LLM to listen to the user's response. And that's in a choice block, because I've specifically said, hey, I want you to listen for these intents. And the second one is an event listener, which if I select an intent here, which is start an outdoor project, I just say outdoor test. Okay. Regardless of where I am at in this flow of this assistant, it needs to listen to this in order to route here. But I'm almost being penalized now if I don't have this in the designer, because it's going to listen regardless of what is happening. So I anticipate that Voiceflow is going to change this very soon, because we're being passively charged for tokens when we don't necessarily want them to and need them to, because we don't want them to listen for intents for every single capture. So hopefully Voiceflow changes this quickly, because these LLM intents are working very, very well. I like what I am seeing here, because I can really dial in these conversational flows by using this. So, but what I don't want to have to play this mini game, which is take all of the capture steps in my designer and multiply it by 200 or 300 or 400 tokens and figure out from that end what I'm going to be charged for a normal conversation passively. So that's one thing. Here's the second thing. Let's pretend for a second that we asked a yes or no question here. Instead of saying, what is your name? Are you going to finance this project? I know that doesn't make sense here for this flow. And instead of this capture step, we had a choice. And we wanted yes or no. Oh, path to no. All right, and let's just route it to get email here for both of these. Watch what happens. Are you going to finance this project? No. Sorry, I didn't get that. Please try again. Now, this is an interesting flip-flop of what we had previously. The NLU intent for none is 100% because it's the word no. The LLM intent is triggering none. Now, why is this happening? If we go back into our content tab, look at no and yes. These two are not like the other three. Why? They're missing a description. And what we can do to fix this is exactly what we did with the other ones. And I'm just going to copy and paste this from a previous one. But given the following user utterances in the intent name, generate a concise intent description that begins with, trigger this intent with, and the intent name is yes. And then I have 10 different utterances for the yes intent. Trigger this intent when the user responds affirmatively using words like yes, yeah, yep, affirmative, indicating their agreement, confirmation, or positive response to a question or statement. So if we take this, we copy it, we come back to yes, the drop down for description, paste that in. Boom. Now I have a description for yes. We'll do the same thing for no here. Trigger this intent when the user responds negatively using words like no, nope, nay, nah, nada, indicating their disagreement, refusal, or negative response to a question or statement. Beautiful work, Claude. No, drop down the description. There we go. Now I have triggers for all of my descriptions for all of my intents here. Watch what happens if we try this again. Remember, I'm going to start. What's going to happen? I'm going to get a warning. I modified an intent. I need to train it. Train your assistant. It's trained. I'm going to back out and restart the test. Let's start. It's going to send me to this project. Are you going to finance this project? Yes. Hello. Boom. We're going to the next. Nice to meet you, 0. Because we deleted name previously. But if you look, the NLU, yes, 100%, because it's the word yes. Now the intent for the LLM is now matching with the yes, because we added that description. So those of you that are going to use yes and no intents with the LLM classification, make sure you go and add that description, that trigger description. Otherwise, it's not going to function properly. What else can we talk about? There is a chance that modifying this prompt here with additional answer questions from your own model, or excuse me, from your own intents, will increase the consistency and quality of the outputs. But I've found from my initial testing that it's working. It's working pretty well. So I am of the mantra, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Now, maybe as I start integrating more of these intents into my build and start to see more of how these intents are working, I may start to tweak and modify this. But for right now, I think this is a huge improvement over the NLU intents. And I also think that I'm probably going to stop using a lot of the set AI, store this into a single variable if then statements that I had previously to direct flows when the intents from the LLM side are working this well. Now I will put an asterisk on that, and that's assuming that Voiceflow comes in and does something about this capture listening, because I don't want to be charged tokens for something that I'm not using an LLM for in a step. So this is working really, really well. I'm very happy with this. I'm looking, finance a project. It's working well. I like it. And I think that as we continue to mess around with this and tinker a little bit more and get this integrated into more and more of our builds and bots, it's only going to get stronger. So golf clap for the Voiceflow team for getting this out there, because I'm definitely going to start using it, and love to know how you guys are implementing this into your own builds. And if you started using this, and if you have any other tips or tricks, we'd love to hear about it. All right. That's all I got for today. Happy building out there. See you later.